Will we see a familiar face at the top of the grid, or will someone else conquer the mighty streets of Azerbaijan? I don't know, but we're about to find out in the most chaotic race of the season. It's lights out and away we go, and Rufus got a pretty decent start, but it's mainly just a complete scramble from everyone here, and I won't be surprised if there's already a couple people who collide with the wall quite early on. They kept it relatively steady, but we've already got our first spin really far back. Rufus, I think something happened to Rufus. I'm not too sure. It's a total scramble, which causes 50. There's already a spin there. This is about the kind of chaos I was expecting from Azerbaijan, and I don't expect basically half of this 15-driver field to even make it close to the end, especially considering the weather is more diabolical than ever. But crucially, for the championship, Hayar, the reserve driver for JZ, who barely... Wait, no, hold on, let me try something again. Most importantly, though, the reserve driver for HVSK, who crashed out in the last couple laps of the previous race, almost getting some really good points, is now leading the race with the IndyCar. If they win the race with this car, that will put JZ in a really comfortable spot, and of course, right behind them is HVSK. They've decided to play it safe and pick the 2021 car, but right now, Hayar is actually popping off with the riskiest car to use in the entire game. Oh, and there's already a crash! Spider-Zap has crashed out on lap 1, and it was looking so promising from him, considering his really promising times in testing. Oh, and that is a crash from Rufus, I think. And then another. Look at the absolute carnage that's happened in turn 1. I honestly wouldn't have expected anything less, considering how volatile this track is. But remember, this isn't the end of the chaos, because we still have the shifting weather to worry about. So that could throw a spanner in the works for everything as well. But look at this. The three championship rivals, Hayar, Beastava, and HVSK, all within a second of each other on one of the toughest tracks in some of the toughest conditions. This is what Formula Apex is all about. Damn, that's a nice picture. Ooh, Beastava comes in very, very close with the wall there, but they just about seem to stick the landing. HGSK is still inching closer and closer to getting an overtake, and Hayar, despite the mounting pressure of trying to control the IndyCar in the wet, is still keeping things steady. Remember, if Hayar wins this, it'll be a huge advantage for JZ in the championship. But of course, that is assuming he can make it to the end. I think Beastava got a smoother corner there, and Beastava has won the most races out of anyone in this league, and the only reason he hasn't got a 6-win streak right now is due to his reserve driver not quite being able to... Wait, no, he didn't have a reserve driver. The only reason he hasn't been able to continue that streak was because of an unlucky car choice in the previous race and an amazing showcase from the final appearance of Speed for Ranger. Oh, and I think that's a spin! No, it's not, but it is from the Alpine. Right there. That was just the replay camera being funny. HGSK is starting to fall behind as it's seeming like a sprawling battle between both Hayar and HVSK. No, Hayar and Beastava. My mind is so scrambled from the amount of chaos with this that I've already lost track multiple times by lap 3. Flicking back a little bit, there's also a really close battle between... I am so sorry to whoever that was. I am so sorry, Mike. I am so sorry. Who was the other guy? I am so sorry to you two. I practically just did the fucking thing from Cars 2, where they got, like, the camera and then sniped them. I am so sorry. But yeah, look at this. Hayar and Beastava, less than 1/100th of a second between each other. Or is it a 10th? Well, I think it's a 10th. Maybe I got that mixed up. I feel like Beastava might be able to take the position here. He takes it relatively... 2016 spotted! 2016 spotted! Okay. Beastava, I think, has gotten the position now. It's super tight between them. But I think Beastava's taking it smoother. I don't know if the laggy camera is making it so difficult to, like, tell which one is which. Yes, Beastava's got the position, but how long is he going to be able to hold on to that for? HVSK taps the sausage curve behind him as he's seeing some very important points start to slip away right when he was starting to get momentum. The German driver was looking like the main championship rival for the entire thing and still has a decent shot at taking it all. But this right here really proves how much of an uphill battle it is for everyone involved. And while we're doing this, let's have a little flick through this to try and see every driver who's crashed so far. Rufist crashed, Spidey crashed, Soviet in it, just sort of doing his own thing. Sembar still alive, just barely. Benjamin still alive, and then everyone here is still alive, but they're very much suffering due to the tough conditions. Cool Gamer Kid is in 5th without a wing. Super Saiyan is having his best result in ages by doing the Winklehawk strategy. HGSK is still kind of vibing, and Heya is now starting to lose ground to Beastaba. This is fascinating because both the 2021 car and the Indy car are pretty much on equal footing when it comes to their peak performance in conditions such as this. However, the one thing that separates them is that the Indy car is way trickier to use. That's what gives the Indy car the additional bonus points. And that's why it's even more impressive that Heya is able to keep up with such a strong force in the championship without seemingly any issues. Oh, and there it is! There's the crash! Heya taps the wall! HVSK gets the position almost, and Beastaba has now been given a huge advantage in this race. It's seeming like he is going to take the crown if things don't shift. And Beastaba also has the fastest lap by a decent amount as well. So overall, it's a dream opening to the race for Beastaba, who needs all the points he can get after the fairly lackluster performance of the previous race. After all, depending on if Australia gets added to the calendar, there's only, including this race, 5 laps left on the calendar, or no, not 5 laps, 5 races left on the calendar, or 6 races. Hold on, the weather's starting to dry up again, just as Beastaba passed the pit lane. Nobody here went to go and switch their tires, so they have to do a dry lap on Inters. Does anyone decide to make the switch? Super Saiyan doesn't. Cool Gamer Kid stays out, and I feel like that's probably something to think about for the rest of the field. Will Beastaba be able to cope with the... And it's a tap for Beastaba! Beastaba taps the wall. Does someone overtake him? Yes, he does! Heya's taking the lead once again! HGSK is right behind them, and they keep changing positions so often. I honestly have no clue who's going to come out on top for this. It's been a full-on battle since the beginning, and the positions have shifted multiple times over. It really is anybody's game between the top 3 in the championship here. Beastaba, Jay-Z's Reserve, and HGSK. And HGSK does a little bit of a jump on the sausage curve. Very, very impressive from him. It'll give him some additional style points. But still, we have our first person going in to switch to a drier compound, and that's Ethan, who's down in 9th and isn't having the best luck, and maybe switching is going to do them some good. And Arto's also down here as well, not having the best race after their fairly impressive show owing from what they've already got. None of the drivers decide to box the Inters. They're still sticking to their guns and staying out on that wet weather compound. I'm not sure if it's going to work out for them, though, as Beastaba had a little bit of a slip, as he's starting to see his rival slip further and further and further away. The gap is increasing more and more and more between each individual driver. This is one of the biggest roller coaster races I've seen so far, and this isn't even the only duel happening on track. There's currently a duel brewing between My 2i and Loster. Two drivers who are using the 2007 car, which is the best car to use in terms of controlling it in the wet weather. I'm not too sure who's going to get the most out of that, but we'll just have to wait and see by the end of the race. It's seeming like HGSK is getting some better lines than Heya, but the real question is whether he'll be able to convert that into a proper overtake. And just to reiterate, even if Heya only comes 3rd, he's still going to get the most points out of these guys because he is going to score double the bonus points. So no matter what, if Heya can finish the race, it will be a good result for Jay-Z, who decided that their reserve driver should pick the Indy car, and it absolutely worked. Do any of them box? None of them box. They're still staying out on these really dry roads with the intermediates. They they are really playing with fire by staying out on this wet compound for so long. Maybe they're expecting the rain to slowly start coming back again. That's my guess. And if so, that is such a big balls thing from all of them to stay on inters in these bone dry conditions because they expect the rain to come back. But the real question is if that gambit's going to work or if they're all handicapping themselves. But really, is it a handicap if everyone's using it and they're so far ahead? To me, I'm starting to think that that's the safe option. I wonder if the rain is going to, like, properly start spiking up anytime soon. Oh, and it's a spin! It's a spin from HGSK! Does he recover it? He does recover it, but it's fairly late, and now Beastema has been given the opportunity to catch up once again, and that is a pretty nasty crash from HGSK. He's going to have to hope for a mistake from someone else if he wants to catch up. Heya is now once again in a really nice position, and HGSK needs to make up 6 seconds if he wants to bring himself back into this battle. And with that DRS enabled sign, that's showing that the road is only getting drier and drier. Beastema has made the decision to box for inters. Box for dry eye tires. HVSK is staying out for yet another lap on the inters, just hoping that it doesn't get this crazy again. I'm guessing that Beastema is doing that to. Oh, I think he's doing that to try and steal the fastest lap from Heya, because if Heya gets the fastest lap, that is going to be maximum points for him. Because think about it. He's going to come first, which is going to give him 25 points. Then the double points for the IndyCar is going to give him 50 points on top of that. But then there would be 13 points for scoring the bonus lap, for fastest lap with that, which would mean 73 points for JZ if Heya is able to get away with both the win and the fastest lap. So it's a very brave choice of Beastman to try and put on the soft compound while he still can. But the real question is if he's going to be able to make the most out of it, considering that I think there's still a little bit of a drizzle on the track. HVSK is actually doing a really good job climbing back up to Heya as he's made an entire second up in just one lap. But the question is if Heya and HVSK box on this lap. Heya has made the decision to box. He is going into the pit lane. Does HGSK make that decision too? Yes, he does. Both drivers made the decision to pit one lap later than Beastema. I'm pretty sure Beastema is going to get the advantage for this, but I'm not sure. It's going to be close across the line, but I think Beastema has the advantage. Oh! What's happening to Heya? Heya's doing the... Wait, did Heya break his wing? I think Heya might have broken his wing. I'm not sure. But either way, Beastman now has a huge advantage by going for the soft compound tire that much earlier. And HGSK is now right on Beastman's tail once again. So if... Wait, no. HGSK is on Heya's tail. So if HGSK can at the very least finish ahead of JZ, that will be damage limitation, but it will also be disaster considering how close Beastman is getting. Beastman gets a purple sector for the first action. Beastman is still keeping things relatively controlled. It's a little bit slippery, but he's making the most out of what he's got. The duel between Heya is still raging on, but I think Heya may have tapped the wall, granting HVSK second place. Does Beastman get a purple second sector? I wouldn't be too surprised considering the track is the driest it's been so far, but he doesn't. He only gets a yellow second sector. This is still seeming... Hold on, HVSK immediately gets a purple sector to basically bounce back at that. Now, this isn't going to be the fastest lap considering his lackluster first sector, but this could be quite the battle to see who takes it, as Beastman snatches the fastest lap by over a second. Well, nearly over a second. I feel like it was that close without being just a tease me. But, yeah. Now, HVSK has to have his go to try and do it, and Heya is boxing once again. A very interesting choice from him, but maybe he's sensing something that the other drivers don't. I'm not too sure. Oh, the rain has started hitting right there again as Heya makes the decision to box, but it's once again a really poor box as he has a... Oh, he has a bit of a snafu within the pit lane. That is going to waste any of the precious seconds he got trying to build up that advantage. Super Saiyan 2018 made that call as well. Beastema, I feel like if he can get away with this, will pretty much have the fastest lap secured. Robbing Heya of those really crucial bonus points that he could have gotten. But HSK is still on a flying lap. That was a brilliant first sector, but considering the rain's pouring down, can he keep up the momentum to still obtain the fastest lap? No! He cut a track limit! HVSK loses his chance to secure the fastest lap, and Beastiver has a 7-second lead. But now there's another question rising, because these guys are on the soft compound tire when it's very much starting to rain. Beastiver makes the decision to box. What does HVSK do? HVSK figures that's a good idea and dives into the pit lane as well. I fear who's going to get a good box here? Beastiver got a really nicely timed switch, although HGSK I feel like had better pit maneuvers, so that probably elevated him up just a little bit. Hayar has a lot to come back from. He taps the wall, which definitely isn't boding well for him, considering how much he needs to catch up to now. And the race is starting to formulate in Beastiver's hands. And I don't know when this happened, but Mike 2i ended up crashing into the wall as well, and I think Lost did as well. Yeah, it's seeming like the length and the conditions is starting to get a little bit too much for a lot of the drivers here. Hayar's boxing again! With the amount of times Hayar has been boxing this race. Oh, it's to replace a front wing! He lost his front wing! Wait, is that? Oh my god! HVSK's out of the race! HVSK tapped the wall and is out of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix! And with that, Beastiver has been given the golden ticket! It was an incredible duel early on, but the championship challenger, who's the furthest back, is seemingly going to get one of the biggest advantages by being so far ahead with 11 laps to go. Now the real question is if Beastiver can keep things controlled until the end of the race, because remember, this is Azerbaijan. It only takes one mistake to hand the win to someone else. But on top of that, oh, isn't this something special? Super Saiyan 2018, after playing so consistent in the 2007 car, has brought his way into second place. This is a driver who's never really been able to do much with the presence they've got, but if they can bring themselves to the end of the race with this same pace they've got, that would be such a sweet win to get, even if it's debatably handed to them. However, it all depends on whether Beastiver can keep things safe and bring it to the end of the race to bring his Red Bull back to winning ways. Hayar's still keeping things somewhat consistent, but he got very, very close to the wall there. Considering that Beastiver still has possession of the fastest lap, although Ethan did very much get close to it while the track was still dry, I lost track of what I was going to say. But yeah, now I start to turn on the rest of the field and those who are left. Benjamin made the decision to go for the 1992 car, considering he was expecting everyone to completely shit their britches, and he was right. He's basically been granted a free 4 points if he can bring this to the end. Ethan has been struggling a lot, but he's still been able to keep his cool and hold his own, and I feel like finishing this race at all is going to be an accomplishment. Alan Walker Musical has just kind of been struggling this race. There's not really too much to say about it, but I mean, he sort of did this to himself. I think one of the worst cars for handling in this. Wait, no, Benjamin's in a P8, never mind. Arto has actually been doing an incredible recovery drive as they brought themselves up to P5 after all of this struggling around. Then of course there's Cool Gamer Kid, who's always just kind of been wherever he feels like on the leaderboard, but he's always been a consistently high scorer. Then there's Hayar. Ooh, I feel like this is the point where they're starting to switch to the wet weather tires. Yeah, I think the weather's starting to get that bad. And now Hayar can see Super Saiyan, who's on the run of his lifetime, trying to hold on to the second place he's got now. Wait a minute. Wait, what's he doing? Did Super Saiyan switch to the dry tires? No, that can't be. That had to be a mistake. Maybe it's because I can't see the compounds. Okay, never mind. That's the wet. The updated compounds aren't visible. Wait, no. Look at the treads on that. I think that's the dry. No, it's probably the wet. He wouldn't be absurd enough to even try that, would he? But yeah, Super Saiyan, fighting for his life, for his best result possible, is now fending off the raging demon of Hayar, who's trying to score points for the highest scoring driver in this field to try and bring him even further. And even though this seems somewhat inconsequential all in the grand scheme of the championship, remember, Hayar scores double points. This will be an increase of 6 points for AZ if Hayar can handle this. But remember, Hayar is using the hardest card to control on one of the hardest stages to get all the way through. Meanwhile, Beastimer is still in a very comfortable spot, and he just has to bring it to the end. Cutting back to the action, Hayar has superior straight leg speed to Super Saiyan, so they're definitely making some ground out of that, as now the gap is only 3 seconds long. Still, this is a superhuman run from Super Saiyan, considering where they've been for pretty much the entirety of the previous races. It would really warm my heart to see them on the podium, and it's seeming like they have gotten all of the tools to do it, but the question is, where will they finish on the podium? Hayar's still keeping things so more consistent. Beastimer is, as you can tell, struggling with the more aggressive weather, considering his car choice, but he doesn't even have to go fast. He's got a 44-second gap to work with, and he just needs to bring his car to the end. And that's the only requirement for him. But Hayar is now starting to catch up with Super Saiyan. I think Hayar's going to probably try and experiment to get a more straightforward line to make this overtake seem more enticing. Super Saiyan taps a wall, but it's not enough to remove his tires, as Hayar, still keeping things clean, has a little bit of a slip though, but I think he's got the overtake on Super Saiyan. Yes, he has. Super Saiyan drops to 3rd place, which is still his best result, but there is still the potential chance of Super Saiyan taking the entire race if the rest of the field make major mistakes. And I know that somewhat sounds like I'm trying to go hopium, but I'm not. It's just that Azerbaijan is this chaotic in league races every single time it shows up. Why do you think I was saving it until there was an established title battle? Hayar is a little bit aggressive on the braking. It's a wall tap from Super Saiyan, but he hasn't broken his car just yet. He has to keep things so much more clean than that if he wants to finish on the podium. Because remember, to finish on the podium, you have to finish. I wonder if Super Saiyan's going to get the memo at some point. And now look at this. Beastimer's on his way. It's a lap the driver who's in 6th. Very impressive showcase from them. Otto's still been keeping themselves relatively clean, considering the competition around them. And that right there is going to be a very nice point to for them, considering they're doing it in a back marker. Hayar is now about 3 seconds ahead of Super Saiyan, and all they have to do is, like I said, keep things clean. This from here is no longer a wait. This right here is no longer a race. It's a high anticipation waiting game to see if anyone crashes out in the last couple laps. Because to my knowledge, the race is still getting wet. So every second, the track is getting slipperier and trickier to drive. Who out of this top 3 will be the first to crack? If, of course, any of them crack. Hold on a second, hold on. I just noticed something about the spiker. Does it say Hajar on the side? It does! It says Hajar! What? Yeah, Hajar Properties! I didn't even know that, but that's really funny. That's very funny. I know that wasn't intentional, considering that livery was made long before Hajar made it into F1, but still, that's pretty funny. Ooh, a little bit of a slip from Cool Gamer Kid. But he doesn't have to worry about pace right now, considering the position he's in. He just has to keep his cool. Beastar, considering how worn his tires are getting, is now starting to struggle with both the wear, the traction, the stability, everything. Really starting to get to it. did the smoke come from? Oh, wait, that's one of the drivers having a slip out. Oh, it's Ethan. Ethan has just been sort of failing upwards. Like, he's crashed a load of times, but he's never had a fatal crash, and he's just sort of hanging out in 7th place. But still, even though this battle didn't stretch out to the end, this has been one hell of a battle, and I had no clue who was going to come out on top. I honestly thought it was going to be HVSK for a little bit. But then, of course, you look back, and they lose their back wheel. That's how a lot of these tend to end, actually. When both drivers push themselves to the limit, they often forget where the line of how far they've got to go is. Ooh, it's a little bit of a slip from Hayar, but it taps the back of their wheels on a non-fatal wall, so Hayar is ultimately fine. It's a bit of a slip out from him, but it's relatively controlled. No broken parts from his car. Super Saiyan's about to go through the same sector. Really clean from him. Very clean. Well, considering the really aggressive weather, it was clean. It was clean. Yeah. We now only have 5 laps to go until the end of the race, and it's seeming like Beastava is going to be able to keep his head straight and secure his first race win since 2 races ago. Yeah, it is always funny when talking about a race win from the guy who's the most... Hold on, wait! Oh, Ethan Gaming! Ethan Gaming crashes out on the first corner after seeming like he was going to make it to the end for so long. He made it so far, but he just about didn't make it to the end. But that means Benjamin is promoted to 7th. His risk is definitely starting to pay off, because now he's going to get 12 points by the end of this if he can actually finish the race. So yeah, very good call from him. I have a feeling that a lot of people wanted to go for slower cars in case something like this happened, but yeah. They're sort of striding that line between playing it quality and playing it safe. AR has another little bit of a slip, but it's nowhere fatal. He controls it nicely. All of these drivers know where the sections they have to be careful of. For example, this corner can be fatal if you don't get the right braking lines, but Beastava has been through it enough to know how to take it safely, and he takes it with relative ease. As a reminder, Beastava is the guy with the most race wins out of anyone here, but he's always just kind of been a little bit too far back in the points considering how late he started. But if Beastava can make a charge to make it all the way to Jay-Z by the end of the season, that will be legendary. But still, considering that HVSK crashed out at such an important time, I have a feeling that this right here could potentially decide the entire championship in Jay-Z's favor. Because think about it. All that Hayar had to do after his unfortunate disappointment in the previous race was pretty much finish anywhere on the podium. And he's seemingly going to finish 2nd, which is more than enough for Jay-Z to earn the most points out of this race. And after this, there's only going to be either 4 or 5 races. So I'm not too sure if there's going to be any like major championship point shifts from here, unless something's going to happen in the standings. Of course, the most significant potential shift up is if Beastava crashes, because if that happens, then Jay-Z is going to go from scoring 36 points in this race to scoring 50. So, yeah. Anyone who's rooting for Beastava is basically crossing everything that they've got in hopes and prayers that he doesn't crash. Because if he does, major missed opportunity for him. Major. Ooh, look at that little slip up from Super Saiyan. Again, he just has to make sure he makes it to the end so he can finish on the podium here. He's not exactly too concerned about pace. He's just worried about making it to the finish. He's sort of still keeping things a little clean, but he did have to slow down quite a bit just to keep himself steady. Benjamin's still vibing, and wait, did Alan Walker crash out? Yeah, Alan Walker crashed out. Benjamin's been promoted to P6. That's going to be 16 points for the 1992 car. So yeah, Benjamin definitely made the right choice when using that. Arto broke their front wing, so they have to box to try and replace it. Cool Kid are keeping themselves consistent. Super Saiyan, still looking about the same as ever. Heya is starting to slip out a lot. And then there's Beastaba, who's been in a good spot for pretty much the entirety of the second half of the race. And even though their tires are super duper worn, they are very close to resuming their winning ways. But of course, it was a gauntlet of a battle to try and get there. If you remember at the first half of the race, the top 3 drivers of the championship standings were basically scrapping with each other for the entire thing. But a great read from Beastaba in the pits, alongside some very consistent effort on the track overall, is what's granted Beastaba the win today. Of course, if he can bring it to the end. But now, after this straight, Beastaba will move on to the final lap of the race, and it's seeming like all hands and all signs are pointing towards Beastaba continuing his winning ways. Flicking through the rest of the field to go over the 6 drivers that are seeming like they're gonna finish, there's Benjamin, who took a risk by trying to go for the 1992 car to try and maximize his points, and that absolutely works, securing him 16 points overall. There's Otto, who's the only driver who's made it here, who I would say sort of failed upwards to bring themselves to 5th place, and considering they're using a backmarket 2024 car in the rain, they're going to get some decent points for it. Cool Gamer Kid has just sort of been as consistent as ever, but that's only been enough for 4th today. Then there's the miracle run of Super Saiyan 2018, someone who's always been near the bottom of the pack, but they picked the right car at the right time and kept themselves clean to finish on the podium today. Then there's Heya, the reserve driver for Jay-Z, who is taking a massive risk by picking the Indy car, which is going to score them double points for standing on the podium today, giving Jay-Z the most points in this race with a nice and clean 36. They probably would have liked to keep the fastest lap, but hey, there's no reason to scoff at 36 points. And now, your race winner, after losing one singular race from the previous outing in Zandvoort, he comes back with a vengeance. He shows fury towards the track. He picks his pit windows right. He performs consistent, and Beastaba wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, bringing him back to his winning ways. Heya finishes in 2nd place, securing 36 points for Jay-Z in an incredible showing for them. Super Saiyan 2018 on a miracle run finishes in the podium positions, and it was an incredible showcase of skill from them as well, considering the opportunity they were given. Cool Gamer Kid keeps themselves consistent and comes in 4th. Otto falls apart but still makes it over in 5th, and Benjamin's risk paid off in gold, giving him 16 points for finishing in 6th with the 1992 car. That right there, I feel like, is gonna be an all-time classic. I want to take a picture of that. Next to the wing as well? Oh, that's a good photo. That is a good photo. So yeah, well done to all of the survivors of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. next week, I guess.